Ladies and gentlemen, there are a few topics that are not allowed at the Christmas dinner table. Politics, religion, the final lap of the Abu Dhabi 2021, and now we have Oulton Park BSB Race 2 safety car. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a Big Bad Bike Show. I'm the Big Bad Biker Sam Macaulay, and joining me tonight are my two hosts, up north biker Ash Hall.
Hello there.
And Chris Chippy Ballard.
Hello.
Right, we've had a few technical problems before we started, and Ash can't hold it in, so you might as well just laugh, mate. It's fine. But he's having it up.
No, it's just when you were speaking, then it sounded like you just come up from outer space. Your mic just went skids.
Did it go mental? Right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you would like to. And you won't miss a podcast or a video. And if you're on Spotify or Apple or any of the other podcast places, you can get in contact by emailing us at podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. We've not had an email in a while, so we would appreciate it if you emailed us and just let us know how you like the show. Do you like the show? Do you not like the show? What we could change, what we could make better. You're probably thinking, shut up and get on with the bikes. Also, the past couple of weeks, I've been putting timestamps on there. So if you don't like the rattling on at the start, just click onto one of the timestamps and get into the bikes. But we're going to have a little bit of a catch up first. But Ash, you're going to tell us what's coming up in the show.
I will do. The all-new Who Am I is coming up, as usual. We have the reactions to this week's Oulton Park BSB. Making predictions for the MotoGP in India and the World Superbikes at Aragon. Also, on tonight's show, we'll be talking about Tommy Bridewell. Should the MotoGP riders protest and if they think Barat is unsafe? Also going to be talking about Morbidelli to Ducati, options running out for Marquez, and Tommy Bridewell again. But first, a quick catch-up. Chippy, what have you been up to?
Well, I finished Red Dead Redemption 2 again, which is my favourite game in the world.
How many times is this now?
I think that's about the 5th time I've completed it. But say I've completed it, I've got up to the bit where Arthur dies, which is sad.
That's good. Anybody that's never played Red Dead Redemption 2, you've just ruined it.
Well, anybody that's not played Red Dead Redemption 2 has had plenty of time to play it. Fuck knows why they'd want to, but they've had plenty of time to play it.
Because it's the best game in the world.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm going to start it again once I've completed it. And as Sam has already put on
you've also been cuddling your dog, giving your dog little nighttime cuddles and playing lullabies to get it to sleep. So he
comes in for a cuddle.
You put little bow ties in your dog. I bet you're one of them people that dresses your dog up when it's cold. You put little jackets and stuff on it.
He's got a Christmas jumper.
Oh my god.
That's the only thing he dresses up in there. He doesn't like being dressed.
You set him up on the Christmas table and give him a little Christmas dinner and all.
But he sits up on the dining table with us every night when we have dinner.
That is ridiculous.
And he does. He has his own little Sunday roast, and he'll have a little Christmas dinner this year as well.
He genuinely does sit at the table.
If anybody wants, I cannot go with that. If anybody wants to see the video or the little short clip of Chippy cuddling his dog with some lullaby music on the background, it's on our Twitter page. Just go to the Big Bad Bike Show at Twitter.
Yeah, I would have denied it, but you put it on before we started recording, so I can't deny it now.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I put it on our social media, so you can't deny it, because I knew we were going to talk about it. I can't believe that
I hope it goes viral.
Can't believe your dog sits at the dinner. I watched like last Christmas. I watched like a piece on that, and like I think it was like morning news and like ITV or something. They were talking about it. And I was like, surely that's not true. There's not people that actually let their dogs sit at the dinner table and eat dinners.
He doesn't eat his dinner there. He just sits with us
on a chair.
He sits on the chair. He jumps up and sits on the chair.
His is the one nearest the kitchen counter, isn't it?
Yeah, he's like head of the table.
And he sits there like
between
he's people.
Us. Yeah. And Nicola normally gives him a bit of food.
Oh,
he had a bit of poppadom tonight.
Strange.
Because we had a curry.
Curry night
on a Tuesday.
Well, I had a run-in with a dog this week. I sent you guys a message.
I
put it on my own personal Facebook and maybe Twitter as well. So I was out walking my dog, and I was on a familiar route that I'm quite often on, and I seen this other dog, and it started barking, and instantly I just thought, oh, that dog's obviously in a bad mood. But the dog come running over. It was massive too. It was huge. A big thing like an English Mastiff. It was huge. It come running over and it did that thing. You know that thing dogs do where they run over really quick and just stand there. And then my dog just, again, did the natural dog thing and tried to sniff this other dog's genitals. My dog's a boy, this other one was a bitch, and he was trying to sniff her genitals. Like, that's what they do, they try and sniff their butt. And it just went mad, and it was a big dog, big heavy dog. And I thought, right, no way, that's not happening. So I started laying into it. Like, it was proper going mental. But I thought, this is, as far as I'm concerned now, gloves are off. You started attacking me, I'm defending myself. So I just started beating the crap out of you. I started sticking the boot in. But it was doing nothing. The thing was doing absolutely nothing to it. It was like a brick. And then obviously that wasn't on the lead, because it broke free of the lead. And my dog was on the lead, so I had to let go of the lead. And then the next thing I knew, she had my dog by the throat and was like doing that thing, again, dogs do, where it was pulling back while she was walking, like really trying to rip the throat. And then I just seen red completely, and I just dived onto the ground and wrestled the dog down. I grabbed her by the throat and started pushing her down. And then she started trying to bite me, and then I just started throwing fists and everything. And I was like, "We're fucking going for it, dog." Me and this dog were just wrestling in the middle of this footpath. And then I managed to grab her by the scruff of the neck, but she didn't have a collar on because that had come off. I grabbed her by the scruff, and I got my left knee or my right knee, I can't remember what one, but I got one of my knees, like right in her groin. Like I got it pushed right in her groin to really try and hold her down, to put some weight on, like a pressure point, and I was holding her down and she was still there, like trying to like get a snap at me. And I held her there for about maybe 30 seconds before she calmed down. And then the guy had come over and he was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, mate, I'm really sorry." And I was like, "Where have you been for the past 2 minutes while I've been fighting the dog?" And I looked over, and thankfully somebody, like a passerby, had like taken my dog and like, not calmed him down because he was shitting himself anyway, but taking the lead to make sure he wouldn't run away. And the guy was like, "Mate, I want you to report this." And I was like, "Why? They'll put your dog down if they report this. Do you not like your dog?" And he's like, "It's not my dog, I'm just looking after it." I'm like, "Then you report it. You report it then. You go and tell people." But I calmed him down. I was saying, "Good girl." I was petting the dog because I have nothing against the dog. We had to have a fight. Like, she's going to eat me. So I was like petting the dog. I was like, "Good girl, everything's all right." He put the collar on it. And I got up and grabbed my dog. And I was like, walking. I just walked away like it was a normal day. Like my temper had calmed. I was like me and the dog. And I looked across, and the guy who was looking after this dog was as white as a sheet. He didn't know what to do. He was just standing there like he had just seen like a murder. And I was like, "Well, not my problem." Me and my dog just walked away. Come on, boy.
Have you ever seen The Simpsons when Groundskeeper Willie, when he has a fight with that wolf? I've put it in our group chat. It just reminds me of that.
I've never seen it.
It's so funny. It just reminds me of Sam.
It was proper. Dog. Like, you know how aggressive I can be, and I like to, like, I'm not violent or anything, but I can be aggressive. I can bring my aggression to the surface pretty quick. As soon as it kicked off, I was like, "Right, let's go." This is it. But I just seen like all I was trying to do was protect my own dog, but I just thought, if that had been, now it's nothing against the dog, it's not the dog's fault. The guy was like, "Oh, I want you to report this." And I was like, "Well, it's not the dog's fault you've got a shit collar on your dog. That's not the dog's fault. Buy a decent collar." No. But yeah, it's not the dog's fault, but I just thought if that had been somebody else, like a little girl or something, or even like a much smaller dog, or like a wee old granny, or even a wee old grunda, or even just somebody that's like, I'm quite confident around dogs. I'm not scared to get down and tackle one if I have to, but I'm fortunate. I feel like quite fortunate it was me, because I'm quite confident and don't really care.
Arthur would have got battered. I'd have probably got battered as well.
I was loving it. I came home to my wife bouncing in the door. I was like, "I've been in a fight." She's like, "Oh my God, who is it?" And I was like, "A dog." She was like, "What?" And I explained it to her, and I was, "Don't worry, it was the dog's fault. Self-defense." Just visions of me going around the village beating the crap out of people's dogs. Right, that's enough about me.
Yeah. So, as you both know, I went to the British Superbikes at Oulton Park this weekend, and it was very, very good. I really enjoyed myself.
Good.
Rode down on my motorbike and rode back. Did about 900 miles altogether.
I was going to say, it is a long way on a bike, that.
Yeah, altogether it was about, because I obviously went over Yorkshire as well, so it's about 900 miles altogether.
Jesus.
Got a bit wet on coming down, but and a bit wet on the way back. But it was good. I really enjoyed it. Got to meet Michael Dunlop. He was dead said dead sound. He was all right. It was just getting, you need to speak to him at the right moment.
Yeah.
If he's got levers on, don't go near him.
Yes.
And I got to meet a load of other different decent riders and that. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Good.
Yeah, that's all I did really.
How was your camping experience?
How was
How was your
camping
camping? Yeah, how
experience?
was your camping?
Well, as you both know,
Listeners don't know, so let's tell the listeners how much you loved camping.
all
Now,
right, okay,
can we
so-
just set some pretext here that Ash, the up north biker Ash, has booked to camp for 2 weeks in the Isle of Man next year. 12 days in the Isle of Man next year, and my brother camped in the Isle of Man, and let's just say it gets a little. It's not for the faint-hearted camping in the Isle of Man. Trust me, it's not. And I don't care if you think you've got a quiet campsite or not. You're at the Isle of Man. It's going to get rowdy. So anyway, let's tell the people how much you enjoyed. Let's tell listeners how much you enjoyed camping at OultonBSB.
Do you know what? It's not that I didn't enjoy it. It's just the first night I got there. Obviously, the last showed me. She was on the map. She was like, right, so this is the party area. They've got a sound curfew for like 11 o'clock at night. And I was like, right, well, I don't really want that. I've just spent 8 hours riding my bike. She was like, the quiet area over here, they've got a curfew of 9 o'clock. And I thought, oh, well, that'll suit me. Set up and everything. 9 o'clock comes, there ain't no noise curfew. People are partying all around me. Like, all around me. All I can smell is, a bit of exotic tobacco in the air, let's say. Which I hate the smell of anyway, but it was there, prominent. Yeah, and the partying went on till about 2 a.m, which I thought was a bit of a piss take, really, considering that you're in the fucking quiet area. If you want to party, go to the party area. Don't go to the freaking quiet area. And then some old boy got out of his bloody car and gave him a rollicking, and they just turned the music up louder.
That's the worst thing you can do.
And I was just like, oh, cheers, man. Cheers for that.
Well,
eventually...
Go ahead, sorry.
Eventually, there was a couple of like people. I don't. They probably were whoever the organisers were. They turned up and said, "Look, guys, obviously this is supposed to be the quiet area. Can you just turn it down a bit?" Which they did for about 10 minutes, and then when they pissed off, they just turned it all back on again.
Well,
yeah, the first night was rough. I didn't get a lot of sleep.
I don't understand how. It's not even that. It's just like you were sending us messages about you'd got there and. We were like, go to the entertainment. There's usually entertainment. They'll have like a beer tent up. Go to the entertainment. No, I don't want to go to the entertainment. And then you were complaining about also being by yourself. And it's like, well, you can't complain about being by yourself and then not go to the entertainment.
Well, no, I didn't want to.
And then you were sending us messages about the noise of the generators. And it's like, oh well, some guy's just driv for hours in his little camper van or whatever. He doesn't want to stick his generator on to charge his phone or maybe cook himself some evening meal or something. As if there's not going to be generators and stuff.
But not at 1 and 2 in the morning.
You weren't texting me at 1 or 2 in the morning. You're texting me like 9 at night, and I know it's a quiet area. 9 o'clock.
Hey, no, they had a curfew for a reason. 9 o'clock curfew.
Listen to you. Who are you? The fun police. Oh, I'm so glad I wasn't camping with you. I would definitely been the guy turning the music up. I'd have been like, what this? Right.
Yeah, well, I was very tired. I didn't want to party. I just wanted to try and go to sleep. That's all I wanted to do.
I was on a night shift and I was able to message you most of the night, so at least I kept you company.
Loser. I took my guitar whenever I went to Donington.
Night was all right.
Like playing my guitar all night.
That's because you're a hippie. The second night was fine because everyone must have been hungover from the night before, so it was all right the second night. And I think my body was kind of just like, yeah, you've had an hour's sleep. You're going down.
Yes.
But yes, well, we're going to be camping, Sam.
Yes, we are, and it's going to be an experience because it'll be like a comedy show or something. Because you'll be there trying to get you sleep, and I'll be trying to round everybody up for a party. Because you know what, you know what I'm like, Ash. I could go to a graveyard at Halloween and start a party with the dead. You know what I'm like.
Well, you went to the cinema on your own the other day.
Yes, I do things.
Saturday.
I do things on my own. Yes, occasionally.
That is sad.
But I'm kind of limbo unemployed at the minute, so it's fine. I've got time You don't know what it's like to go in the cinema by yourself. You've obviously never done it.
No,
It's
I've
incredible.
never done it. I couldn't.
I have done it, but not.
I couldn't imagine going to the kiosk and saying, "Can I have a ticket for one, please?" And
Yes,
you
but-
got no friends with you.
Yes, but I went there. It was 10:30 in the morning whenever I arrived there. Like whenever I walked in, the look in
How
their face.
tragic!
No, the look in their face was, "Oh, thank God! At least we've not opened up for absolutely no reason." Some guys turned up, and you
They're
walk
probably
up
thinking,
there.
"Oh, great!
you
Now
walk
we've got
up-
to put the film on instead of just chilling out."
They've got to put it on anyway. They've contractually got to put it on. They have to put it on. It has to play so many times. They must put it on. They're not allowed to not put it on.
Oh, I don't know how it works.
But I turn up, the guy gives me a dirty look. I'm like, mate, you're older than me and you're working in the cinema, so your life hasn't exactly gone very well, has it? Now stop being so judgy Judgerson, give me my popcorn, and please don't scratch your bollocks before you put your hand in there. Too late, mister.
Anyway, we've done like 20 minutes of the show so far, and we haven't even talked
Oh,
about
I've got
the
one
bikes.
last thing to talk about. We do
Oh, go on.
timestamps, so you can skip on. So this is
True.
this has been this has been recommended to me on many occasions. Ash, this has been recommended to me on many occasions. See
Monkey
that?
shoulder.
I've got myself a bottle of Monkey Shoulder. I've not opened it yet.
You tried it
No,
yet?
I've not opened it. I've kept it especially for this moment because you have raved about this Monkey Shoulder and how good it is.
Do you know what this is going to be, Chippy? This is going to be, you're going to pour it in the glass, it's going to go, shine.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I do like my whiskey. Ash likes his whiskey, and many occasions he's been saying to me about drinking Monkey Shoulder, and I've never tried it, but
All whiskey
it's
is
got a
disgusting.
nice caramelly smell.
It's
It smells exactly the
blended
same.
whiskey, though. It's not a single malt.
It smells very smooth. It doesn't sting the nose too much when you give it a good sniff.
No, it is very smooth.
We're not a whiskey podcast, people. We're just a blokes podcast. Girls can drink whiskey too. Are you nervous, Ash, that I might not like it?
I couldn't give a shit to do it, to be honest.
I spent 36 quid on it. It's expensive for a blend.
That is, was that even a litre bottle?
Ash, I'm an alcoholic. I drink iron. Right.
He drink that moonshine.
Pot chain. Right, we have rambled on quite a bit, so should we move on with the rest of our show?
Shall we?
Yeah, so let's get into the Who Am I? Last week, Chippy,
Yes.
was
Oh, yes,
your...
we've got no feedback.
Yeah, we got none.
Yes.
Our usuals have been letting us down for the past couple of weeks, but that's fine.
Yes.
We'll just assume they've got more important things to do. Can't think what's more important than listening to and replying to this podcast, but yes, they maybe have more important things to do, like the real family. Right, so yeah, let's move on with the Who Am I. Last week was your Who Am I, Chippy. Do you
Yes.
want to reiterate the
clues. So the first clue was I was born in Stockport in 1985. The second one was I currently race in BSB. And the third one was my father raced in MotoGP and World Superbikes in the 1980s. And it was Christian Idden.
Yeah, I met him this weekend.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
that one
He
didn't
is.
that one didn't come to me straight away. I was looking at to say I was using Google. I went on to the riders in the BSB paddock and I was looking through them. And obviously, we know Leon Haslam, his
I
old
did the
man,
same
was in
thing.
Ron Haslam. I knew it wasn't him because
Yeah.
he's too old. I even guessed that's who you guessed last week, but I couldn't think who it was. And I was looking through and I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll sleep on it for a night. And then Ash just went and answered it on the group chat that we're in and told. And then Chippy didn't do that thing where he could have went, no, and then replied to Ash secretly saying, oh yes, that was it. He just went, yeah, that's who it is. And I was like, oh, cheers, thanks. That saves me from actually...
Well, I'll tell you what then, we'll have a rule from now that we're not allowed to answer it. You got to do it privately until we both...
Well, I thought
know
that
who it
already
is.
was a rule. I thought that already
Well-
was an unspoken rule.
We'll make it an official rule now.
Once again, Ash just didn't follow the rules. Unless it's quiet time in the campsite, and then you must follow the rules.
Fucking right you should. Be quiet or fuck off.
Oh, I can't wait to go camping with you guys. It would be fun. Right.
Do you know what? I think I'm going to bring my own freaking tent on the plane, I think. I'm going to bring it.
I'm bringing 2 tents anyway. I'm bringing a 5-man and a 2-man.
Well, then I'll take mine to the other end.
Because I like having 2 tents, because then if it rains, you can have a wet tent to get changed and stuff in, and a dry tent to sleep in. Thinking, you see. Right. And everybody else, like, there's no room in that. Guy's got 2 tents. I'm like, yeah, but Tommy Bridewell with the fingers up. Yeah, it's my tent. More on that later. Right, so here is my Who Am I? It's a secret, so I've not put it on the dock. Right.
I'll keep my hands up here so you can see I'm not Googling it.
Right, this one here has quite a lot of clues. So you might know it. If you don't know it, I guarantee you're going to kick yourself because you do know it. It's one of them sort of ones. But as always, I sometimes like to go into the archives. Right. I have won 350cc and 500cc World Championships, a combined total of 5 times. My first TT win was in 1949 in the Clubman Senior TT, and my last TT win was 1955 in the Senior TT. I'm British, I was born on the 29th of March 1923, and I passed away on the 1st of May 2015. Would you like me to read them clues again?
2015.
Yes, passed away 2015.
Well, if you read them to me again, I probably still want to get it. I'm going to have a ponder on this one.
Right, so
Or a Google.
I have won.
Of course, Chippy, fucking of course.
Fuck you. I've won the 350 and 500cc World Championships, a combined total of 5 times. First TT one was in 1949 with the Clubman Senior TT. My last TT one was 1955 in the Senior TT. And I'm British. I was born on the 25th of March 1923, and I passed away on the 1st of May 2015. Honestly, I know who this person is, but I wouldn't have known them facts about them. Like, I knew some of that stuff, but I wouldn't have known exactly if I myself hadn't googled it to get the idea for the show. So yes, but you will know who it is. You'll definitely know the name. Okay,
Yeah, I'm struggling with this.
so we just move on with the show because we don't have time to sit here and think about it while we talk. Right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to us and you got past all that bollocks or you used a time stump, you can contact us at podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk if you know the answer. If you do know the answer, just stick it on there. Let us know who you think it is, or who, if you've googled it, that's fine. We're not giving out any prizes anyway. We'll read it out in the show, and we will mention your name as well.
Groovy.
But that takes us on to the next part of our show, which is going to be the news.
The news.
Leave a gap here.
I'm just going to leave a gap here just so you can edit it in. Right. There isn't actually any news as such this week,
Right,
but
on to
there
the
are.
races.
No, wait. There are a lot of confirmed rides that's happened over the last week. So I'm just going to go through them. So MotoGP, silly season favourite Franco Morbidelli has finally announced where he's going, and it'll be Pramac for 2024.
Are we going to talk about these separately as you read them out? Are we going to keep it and talk about them at the end, or do you want to just do it one by
We
one?
can comment on each one as we go through if you want, or...
Well,
Are you surprised at that?
no,
Going to Pramac?
no. Well, going to Pramac, I thought he was going to go to VR46, maybe, but then that would suggest that Bez is going to Pramac. I'm not surprised that he's going to Ducati.
Yeah. I think he'll do really well.
I think
he'll...
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I think he could be a title contender next year.
I don't know about title contender straight away.
Oh,
I think
I fancy that.
I think maybe a race winner. But there's a lot of people, well, I say a lot of people, I've seen some suggestions on social media, Twitter and stuff, some people suggesting that he's maybe doesn't deserve the ride because he's not doing well this year. He's not done anything this year.
Well,
But he's on the Yamaha.
Exactly,
I'd say
I know.
he's not doing any worse than Quartararo, really.
Well, I saw someone we all follow who basically said the same thing. He said,
yeah.
everyone says Quartararo's doing well because he's on a Yamaha, but now you're trying to say that Morbidelli's not doing well, even though he's only like a point behind Quartararo or something. So, I'm not surprised. Title contender, I was thinking about it. I think there's a bit of pressure on him when he goes into Ducati because he does have to prove that he's worthy.
Especially the Pramac one.
Yeah, he has to prove that he's worthy of a factory ride. But there's no pressure on him because if he comes third or even fourth in the championship behind Bagnaia, the championship elect this year, Jorge Martin, even Bezzecchi, if he comes fourth behind them next year, it's a decent season.
Bastianini as well, don't forget.
And possibly Bastianini, yeah. So yeah, he's got a cushion of fourth or fifth next year. It's 2025.
I mean, he was runner up in the championship a couple of years ago, wasn't he?
Yeah, you can't take much. I don't want to.
And is he a 2-time world champion?
Yes, he's a European Superstock 600 Superstock champion and a Moto2 world champion.
Is he? Well, still Moto2 champion.
But the European Superstock world champion is that not close to like a world? Like even the World Superstock, that's a European champion, really. There's 2 flyaway rounds. It's like a European championship with a couple of flyaway rounds. Yeah, I think there's a bit of pressure on him, but I don't think there's loads. Yeah, I can't wait.
I think he'll do well. Anyway.
Yeah, good to see him going on a Ducati.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm glad he's staying in MotoGP as well, because I think he deserves it. So the next one, Taka Nakagami staying at LCR Honda.
That is the least.
I'm surprised with that.
The least exciting news. It's like
I know that really.
But I am surprised. I am surprised that he isn't like LCR aren't turfing him out for Agora to come in.
Yeah, I'm sort of surprised, but at the same time, I don't know who would want that ride. I don't think Agora wants it because he was offered it last year and he turned it down.
It just kind of sparked into my head there now that Honda are maybe in a stage now where if they're going to try and build a new bike, they maybe need people that know the old bike so they can say what's different.
That's true.
What's better. So they're maybe thinking.
I think Nakagami knows that bike better than anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is he top Honda at the minute?
I
this
think
season?
He is, yeah.
But it's been at LCR for ages.
Yes. I think it'd be good to stay there for Honda. And probably for him as well.
Well, so moving on. GP, where else would he go?
Yes. So moving on to Moto2, Celestino Vietti and Dennis Onchu moving to the Akiayo KTM, replacing MotoGP bound Pedro Acosta and Albert Arenas. Arenas is going to Gresini Moto2.
Good to see Onchu moving.
Be good to see Dennis Onchu in Moto2.
Yeah. Vietti as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good move for him. Yeah, probably doing good. MT Helmets team, they've expanded into Moto2, signing Iogura and Sergio Garcia, and Mario Aggi replaces Iogura at Honda Team Asia. I've never really rated him.
So Agura's just staying in Moto2 then?
Yeah.
Right. You've never rated who?
You've never rated who?
Mario Aggi. He's always been in Moto3, but he's never really done anything.
He's not done much in Moto3. The fact that I have to actually delve into my head to try and think about when I've heard of him. Like he's not competing for any wins or top 10 or.
I'm pretty sure he's like always around Scott Ogden sort of level.
But these people maybe know something that we don't.
That's true.
Like
he might be better
checkbook.
on a bigger bike, maybe.
Yeah,
or his checkbook, yeah.
Like his checkbook.
Maybe he is better in a bigger bike. Like, I think Scott Ogden would be better in a bigger bike. And it's not.
Give him a chance.
Jake Dixon would be better.
No, it's not because Scott Ogden would ride a bigger bike better. It's because I think the bigger bikes, there's more maturity in a bit more maturity in you'd like to think in the class. And I think Moto3, there's a lot of you get your elbows out quite a lot, and I don't think that suits Scott Ogden at all.
No.
Yes. Let's move on to the next one. I've put this was from August, but I don't remember reading it out, so I've put it in again. Holgado staying in Moto3, which I'm quite surprised with, because he's leading the championship. Even if he doesn't win it, he's still proved himself good enough to move up.
Has he?
I think he has. Maybe not in the last few rounds.
Yeah, I mean, he's a pretty solid Moto3 rider.
Yeah, he's won a lot of races.
Yeah, but they're looking for somebody that can handle the pressure of a championship. And even though he got off to a great start, he seems to just be falling to bits now. I'm not saying the flyaways will come and they might bring it all back together and, surge a massive resurgence. Surge a resurgence doesn't make sense. There might be a massive resurgence and they might go on and absolutely barnstorm the championship, but at the minute it looks like he's really struggling with the pressure. Is that what they want? Is that what somebody wants to invest in?
Maybe that's why he's staying then.
Well, maybe not.
Give him another year.
If he had ended up in Moto2, I wouldn't have been like, oh my god. But in the same sense, I'm not like, oh, shocked that he's staying in Moto3.
Yeah. Well, this one I'm a bit more surprised with. David Alonso staying in Moto3. Because, he could win the championship this year.
Yes. But I think with David Alonso, they maybe weren't expecting him to shine as bright as what he is so early.
Possibly.
And, all these deals were maybe happening behind the scenes before he really came into focus. And I think MotoGP, I may be wrong in this, like if anybody else has any opinions, just email us, send us a tweet, just get in contact with us if you have any opinions. But I think MotoGP are trying to steer away again, because for a year or two they were just trying to make everybody as young as possible, bring them through, get the next big thing in, whereas I think they're trying to push away from that again. Like they're trying to maybe allow riders and young riders a chance to develop properly before they push them up into the higher.
Yeah. Or maybe they were half expecting Jake Dixon. If Jake Dixon had moved up to MotoGP, that would have made a seat for him in the Gas team.
But
if
David Alonso does win this year, and then can go on and repeat that next year, that's a big F because it's Moto3.
He'll definitely move up.
He'll definitely move up. But that means that not very many people win 2 championships in Moto3 and then possibly a championship in Moto2. Not many people won 2 championships in Moto2.
No.
I can only think of maybe 3 or 4, going back 250s as well. But if he wins
he wins
a couple, he could skip and go straight to MotoGP. That's possible. But I think he should do Moto3, win it twice. It doesn't go against. Win Moto2, go up to MotoGP, and then become the greatest motorcycle rider ever. Yes. Then we'll be having
somebody that everybody likes.
We'll be having this debate again in another 15 years.
And Joel Esteban will be his teammate. He's moving up to the class. Moving on to World Supersport, John McPhee has split from his Vince 46 team, but he will stay in the class just for now, replacing the injured Ollie Bayliss for the next 2 rounds.
And has he not got a ride after this? There's nothing coming on for this.
No, nothing yet. I think he's going to end up in either British Superbikes, British Supersport. I think he'll end up on the British Superbike.
Or he'll maybe end up going to
somewhere.
He'll maybe end up going to America and doing
Maybe.
Maybe not their Moto America Superbikes. You might do their Supersport or something over there.
I could see him in BSB.
I could at a lower end team. If he went to British Supersport or Stock Thou first and then does well there, then
I
you
think
could maybe get a better team.
maybe Supersport,
Yeah.
and then move up from there.
If he was in
I don't think Stock Thou.
If he was in a good team in either of them classes, I think that'd do him well. If he replaced Luke Stapleford in British Supersport, that'd be a good shout.
It wouldn't be the worst thing to ever happen. He'd be riding regularly. He'd be competing.
It's probably not what he wants. He probably wants to stay on the world team, but realistically, I think that's probably his best bet.
Do you how well do you think he would do in his current situation if he was in a really good bike, a decent bike, in the World Supersport?
I don't know. I think he'd be nearer the top. But
do you think is it the bike or is it the rider? Because he's got a lot of
I think
experience.
it's a bit of both. I think he'd probably be sort of fighting for a podium, I reckon. If he was on a really good bike, maybe pushing towards a podium. Sort of top 5.
What we're talking like Ducati here?
Well, if he was in the top, or one of the top World Supersport teams.
Yeah, well, you got Ducati, Yamaha, yeah. Oh well, it's not worked out the way young John McPhee. I say young, I probably see him a bit younger than me, but it's not worked out the way he was hoping.
It's a shame, really, because I like John McPhee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
It'd be cool to see him at BSB, though. Come to BSB.
Yes. Come from there, over here.
Moving on to BSB. Kyle Ride is staying at OMG Yamaha for next season.
Good
Which
move,
I think, that's good for him and good for the team.
Yeah,
And with the
I like Kyle Wright.
Yamaha factory support for that team next year as well, he could do even better.
Is that the
Yeah,
one that,
that is-
Jason O'Halloran's going with as well? He's got to be teammate.
Nah, he's going to Kawasaki, replacing Lee Jackson.
I see. That's right, so he is. That's right, so he is.
Yes.
I remember that.
But that is the end of the news.
Then news.
Well,
the end.
say the news. The confirmed rides is this week.
Yes, the confirmed rides.
Yes,
Not really any news.
yes.
No news to go. There must be something. Must be something
Well,
newsworthy.
the only other thing which I only just thought of, which I probably should have put in,
Probably
is about this
should have.
visa situation in for the Indian GP. How it's like only a few days to go. We still don't know if the race is even going to go ahead. And
I bet it don't go ahead.
and there's like media, and I'm pretty sure some team members still haven't got.
There's some
visa
teams.
sorted.
There's some teams that have missed their flight because
Yeah,
they don't have their visa sorted, and now they're trying to get all this sorted out last minute. And it's already been proven that this can't be sorted when you've got months of time to organise it. So how are you supposed to do it last minute?
yeah. It's so bad the way that this is already going.
I don't think it'll happen.
It wouldn't
But
surprise me if it didn't happen.
India is one of them places that whenever you're looking, when you're on the outside looking in, you think, oh, everything's bad. How does anything happen? And then once you're in the country, you're standing in the middle of it, and again you're like, how does anything happen in this place? It's just bizarre because it's crazy. Like it's just, you just look at it and you think, how does anything happen? How does it even govern their country? This place is just mad. It's crazy. Like, I couldn't even. Like, I need a whole podcast, a whole episode just to explain how bonkers India is. I haven't been there for a few months, and it was just like, but somehow it seems to work. I don't know how. Just
Yeah.
barely, obviously, but.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
I
they're
don't-
still worried about the track as well, because they're saying the walls are too close to the track, which we've made a meme about.
I like that one. That was good.
And they're saying about there's not a lot of runoff area in the like before you hit the wall
Yes.
as well.
Yes, we made a meme. I think of the memes. Chippy makes the memes. It's on our socials.
And I laugh
It's
at
on
it.
Twitter. It's on our Twitter page or X page, X, and it's on Big Bad BS Facebook page. So if you want to see our memes, go on there and
think
have a
I'm-
look.
I think we should make this a regular thing, making memes
Yeah,
about
we
race
like making
weekends.
memes. But yeah, the riders, they don't have any sort of official union, but they can protest. Like they're putting
Yeah.
their lives on the line. They can just refuse to go out. They can be like, we're just not going to do it.
Yeah,
But you got Bagnaia. I don't know medically or physically what condition he's in, but he's leading the championship. And a few weeks ago, Brad Binder ran over his legs, so he still might
Which was,
he still might be suffering and have a bit of pain from that. So he might be going to this weekend again thinking damage limitations. So if anybody's going to be at the side of the road saying, I don't want to race, it's unsafe, it will be Bagnaia, I think.
yeah.
And Alessia Spiger will be beside him. That's not safe. And the likes of Martin, who's, fighting for the championship, he wants as many rounds as possible, especially if he thinks he can get a, excuse the pun, a leg up on Bagnaia. He'll want
Yeah.
to race. So it might be a bit of a stalemate. If there is a protest, there might be a little bit of a stalemate. Apparently the last time it happened was a Brazilian GP 1992. Similar situation.
Jesus.
And it was
Yeah.
Dorna. That was Dorna's first year, Brazilian GP. Mick Doohan was winning the championship. Wayne Rainey was second. Wayne Rainey was like, we want to race. Mick Doohan was like, oh, we don't want to race. Funny that. But
Yeah. But yeah, I've just reading on that guy that we follow. I'm just going to say his name, Simon Patterson.
yes.
We follow on Twitter. He's saying a rough count from the social media posts. So the MotoGP riders in India or on their way: Apollo Spargaro, Ralph Fernandez, Bradley, and Nakagami. MotoGP riders sat at airports: Jack Miller, Jorge Martin, and Bagnaia. And Alessia Spargaro and Marc Marquez are still sat at home. And bear in mind, it's Tuesday now.
It's not happening.
They've got all the
It's
media
not
and stuff
happening.
in like 2 days.
Yeah,
Well,
but
not
Mark Marquez
really 2 days,
doesn't need
just
to
a
be
day.
there. Mark Marquez isn't riding for a championship. Mark Marquez rides a bike that's dangerous anyway. Mark Marquez is in a position where he could say, I don't know what to ride this week, and Honda will just have to deal with it. You know what I mean? Just because Mark Marquez doesn't turn up doesn't mean the show doesn't go on. Alessio Spargaro, again, he's not in a title. He's not in a title hook. There's no title championship going on there for him.
I understand, but if these guys aren't going to get the visas and not enough riders turn up, it's not going to happen. You've got to think it's not just MotoGP. It's going to be Moto2, Moto3.
I know. It's so bizarre.
It's ridiculous.
It's so bizarre that we're in this position. But Simon Patterson was like tweeting. He puts a lot of tweets out about it, and I sent a message saying to him. I replied to him saying that it's on the latest MotoGP motorbike game. MotoGP 2023. It's on there. It says riders can play the game, see where their hazards are. Now that was all I said. But what I meant was, they can see where the hazards are, then that they can build an argument for what's safe and what's not safe, and then they can go to the officials and say this corner's not safe. But he just replied to me. He replied to me and said, "Life's not a computer game." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." So I replied back to him and I said, "But imagine you could actually double jump." And he laughed at that. Yeah. He gave me a little laugh emoji, and at least he's got a sense of humour. But yeah, life's not a computer game. I understand that, but. Like I've seen riders in the past when they go to the TT for the first time, they use a computer game as a way to learn some of the track, get an idea for it. So some of these riders might have already been on the MotoGP 23 game, get an idea where the feel for the track, and see where all the unsafe corners. Some of them look gnarly though. Some of them there's no runoff and there's just a wall.
Yes.
And I know we made that meme way Michael Dunlop going around Isle of Man TT, but it's completely different riding style. Like it is. You're on a bike you're on a bike that can do 360 kilometers an hour in a straight line. You're on a rocket basically.
Yes. I'm just reading here a comment. It's quite funny. MotoGP India sponsored by MasterCard because they don't have a visa.
That's a good one. I don't know if this is going to happen or not, and
I don't think
it's a little embarrassing, to be honest.
Yeah, it is bad.
But then it's not MotoGP's fault, is it?
No, it must be their country or something in the country, the way they do things.
It's got to be the officials in India that are doing it.
You say it's not MotoGP's fault, but the track's not been finished or homologated until the last minute. That's Dorna's fault. Like at some point, Dorna had to do like a safety inspection. There had to be a point where Dorna had to sit down in some sort of meeting and say, this is the last opportunity for us to pull the plug on India before it just turns into a mess. And they've went, oh well, let's just hide our heads in the sand and hope that it's fine.
Yes.
I don't know.
I'm not saying that it's not the Indian officials, whoever it is, it's not their fault. But I'm just saying that Dorna can't come out of this and be, oh, we're blameless, it's all India's fault. No, you've also got a part to play in this. You're the ones that can say months before, you can go to them and say, I'm really sorry, but we invested in your country to take a MotoGP there, and you've not got your track to standard, so we're going to pull the plug.
Yeah, now, I suppose
they said Kazakhstan wasn't safe enough, or whatever that was, whatever the problem was. So they could have done that with India as well.
Well, they haven't, and now we're in this situation.
It just leads you to wonder what next year's going to be like, because if they do go ahead with it this year, does that mean it's going to be every year, and we've got this visa problem every year, or is it just simply going to be there'll be a few teething problems this year, and then next year it'll be grand, next year it'll be great?
Well, you'd like to think so, wouldn't you?
I doubt it.
Yeah. Should we move on?
Yes.
I mean, normally, when we review a weekend, we normally go through each race individually, don't we? But we haven't really done that this week. Because firstly, I didn't make notes. And secondly, there's only really one thing to talk about.
Well, talking about, just to look at the races, I think all the races were fairly similar when you look at the front runners at least. It was Tommy Bridewell against Glenn Irwin. And it's been like that for the past few rounds.
And it was just battle for third.
The fact that they're half a point away from each other suggests that it's been like that the entire season. So, it's turning into the PBM Ducati Irwin Bridewell show. Or Bridewell Irwin show, depending on who the bigger fan you are. And that's the way the racing went. There was races for third, Lee Jackson, was it Lee Jackson did really well this week? He
did really
got
well.
3 podiums.
Yeah.
Like, he's walking away this week thinking 3 podiums. Everybody should be talking about me, and nobody's hardly mentioned the fact that Lee Jackson got 3 podiums. Like, that's class. I thought about a meme of that, but I couldn't really know how to get it to work. But I was thinking a meme about that. You know the one where
there was a
where they're holding the baby up in the swimming pool and the other one's drowning, and then there's like the skeleton at the bottom of like, Lee Jackson down here. 3 podiums, nobody cares.
Yeah,
it was good watching people fight for third though, because at some points you had Leon Aslam in third, and you had Kyle Ryde, and then obviously Lee Jackson was there. So it got to one of them where it was like, you know, when you used to watch MotoGP and the 2 front runners would just piss off, and you were watching the third battle. That's kind of what it was like, and it was still.
And with the first race especially, and maybe a little bit the second, but the first one especially, you could see the tactics of Glenn Irwin was, because he was so many points behind Bridewell, he knew that it was more beneficial for him, for Bridewell to end up not just second, but third or fourth or fifth or sixth or whatever.
Yeah.
So whereas Bridewell was trying to clear away, but Glenn Irwin getting in front was then trying to slow it down. So you could see the bikes taken away from each other, and then crescending back together. Is that the word? Crescending back together. I think
I've
that's
never
the
heard
word.
that word.
Still emerging.
I'm going to Google that word.
Crescending, yes. I think it's like something crescends where it comes back together, like all pulled apart, crescends back together. Or I think crescending might be whenever an orchestra all pulls in together. But anyways, come together.
A gradual increase, especially in the loudness of music. The peak of a gradual increase. Crescendo.
Yeah, well, a crescendo, I think, is whenever, like, maybe one guy's doing his little solo, and then the percussion comes in, and then before you know it, all the orchestra's playing together. So, it kind of works. But
sounds like a Harry Potter spell.
Yeah, maybe. I was trying to think of a Harry Potter joke, but the only thing I think of is bigotry. So let's just keep on moving on. So, yeah, you could see Glenn Irwin's tactics where he's trying to slow it down, and Bridewell was trying to speed it up. But Race 1. Let's talk about that first. Or do you want to give your little speech first, Chippy? Do you want to give you've written it down in the doc. Do you want to give your little speech?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say that there's been a bit on social media, well, actually quite a lot towards the riders and Stuart Higgs, and apparently, well, they've all come out and said the abuse isn't on. They are human. They're there to entertain us, and they are risking their lives in that. So if anybody is still giving them stick, maybe keep it friendly with memes, for example, like we have.
It's okay to send the memes because that's what we did.
Yes, just keep it friendly with memes. Don't start threatening them and wishing hurt on them or anything. Just
one guy,
keep it nice.
One guy sent a message and he put a message just in one of the Facebook forums, and he's like, "What's up with that? I was going to say Alan Irwin." He was like, "What's up with Glenn Irwin's accent? He sounds like all over the place, as he's from some posh family." And I just replied to him, I said, "As an Ulsterman living in England, I can relate." And he was like, "Oh, finally somebody that can relate."
Yes, keep it friendly.
He's like, "Finally somebody can relate." He's like, "Oh, so what's the problem?" And I was like, "Well, he's probably fed up repeating himself to English twats like you, so he has to just be more clear and spoken." And then he just gave me the cross faces and went away. Yeah, so I sent you as a voice note. I was like, if there's one time we want to be recording on a Sunday night, it's tonight. We should record on a Sunday night. But I'm glad we didn't, because we probably, like, we all would have been a little bit heated.
Yeah, we would.
Not a chance I would have been recording. Sunday night, I was still travelling back on my bike.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying we actually should have. I was just saying if we could have. But I'm glad we couldn't, because
it would have been like a 5-hour show.
And I think we'd have been a bit heated, and we'd have just maybe reiterated some of the things that was being said on social media. So we had a chance.
Wait for the dust to settle.
So we had a chance to calm down, wait for the dust to settle, because we all get a little bit passionate. You get a little bit passionate about all the sports we love and all the sports stars that we love, and we do get passionate. That's why we love sports so much, whether it's rugby, football, or in this case, our case, best sport in the world, motorbike racing, and one of the best championships in the world, British Superbikes.
The best championship in the world.
Well, maybe.
Which championship is gripping you most at the minute? It's got to be British Superbikes. Half a point in it with only really 2 rounds left.
Yeah,
6 races.
Yeah, that's exciting. But the one that's grabbing me the most is probably Moto3.
That's probably second for me now.
Hype train, baby.
I'm really liking the BSB, But I'm liking World Supers as well. I'm liking that Top Rack's clawing it back.
Yeah, that could get really good, actually.
We're supposed to be talking about the races that happened.
Sorry.
It's usually me the one that digresses. You're the one digressing now. Right, so race 1. We know what happened. There was a brilliant race for third. Like Glen Irwin tried to slow it down. And then the big talking point was coming into the last lap. They went round the chicane, forget the name of the chicane, round the chicane, down the straight, coming into the left-hand turn. And Tommy Bridewell messes up his braking and has to go straight on through the barriers. Ash, you said he didn't go through the barriers. You noticed that. Well done. He didn't go through the barriers. He just went around the barriers, but he's maybe going a bit.
He went around.
He's maybe going a bit too fast to get stopped. So.
Yeah, I think
he
going
was,
a bit too.
but he didn't make any time anyway.
No,
so.
he did the safe thing. He came back and he finished in 4th. So that's 1-0 Glen Irwin for the weekend. Now, at the time, I was like, I'm a big Glen Irwin fan. You may have guessed by the accent. I've said it before. Like I've watched, I believe it's his old man Alan Irwin. I watched him race, and brilliant, love it. As soon as Tommy Bridewell went straight on, I was jumping. I was like, yes, come on, and I was just. I had my hands. I was like, Glenn, because he didn't know what happened. He was like, Glenn, just keep it up, keep it on 2 wheels, because it would just be like sod's law to then crash. And I was like, just keep it up, keep it 2 wheels. And then he won, and I was so happy. Like I was so happy. I was really happy because I've always wanted Glenn to win. And then that's the first time whenever the weekend just took a bit of a salty turn, because they were doing the interviews. And then they put the camera into Tommy Bridewell, and he was giving it the big, fuck off. And
yeah,
he didn't have a great weekend, didn't Tommy? Did he?
No, that outburst was pretty bad. And I didn't see it live, and then I kept getting messages from like you and my dad and that saying what he'd just done. So I watched it back, and I was like, Jesus, that's bad. Like, you can't do that.
I watched it back, and I've seen, like you've seen before, where riders have maybe crashed or they've not got the result they wanted, and they have the cameras in their face. First and foremost, that annoys me anyway. That annoys me a bit.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if the guy wants to talk to you or wants to be approached, they'll make it known. They'll do that. But whenever they just stick a camera, but then again, I can see the cameraman's point of view. That's their job. That's what they're there to do.
Yeah, they need to get the action.
They usually do that sort of wheel thing with their hands, where it's like, move on, get out of here.
Yes.
Whereas Tommy Bridewell was like, fuck off, and giving it the big legs. But at the time, I didn't see. I had heard about, you were telling me about it, and I was like, oh my god, he's gone too far. Can't believe he's done that. And then I watched it back. You were like, go to Discovery Plus to like 3 minutes, 30 or 3 hours, 37 minutes or something, which wasn't that, but I did find it eventually. And I seen it, and I was like, was that it? Because his temper was up. He had just made a mistake. The adrenaline's running. Some cameraman's there sticking a camera in his face. To be honest, I'm surprised somebody in his team didn't put their hand over the camera and just be like, look, just get out of the way. Like, this isn't the time or the place. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Did you see his mum's reaction?
She laughed. She thought it was hilarious.
No, I didn't.
She just sort of looked at the camera, like raised her eyebrows, and
yeah, but what's she supposed to do? She's probably just, I'll go and watch my Tommy race motorbikes, and there he just came forth. He's kicking off, and what's she supposed to do? Turn around and be like, chastise him on live TV, bend him over her knee. And, could you imagine taking his leathers off? It would take about 5 minutes to get his leathers off, and then spanking him in the bum. Naughty Tommy. You naughty boys. What is he supposed to do? So, like, I thought her reaction was funny. That's like something my mum would do. If I kicked off, she'd be like, well. No, personally, that one outburst.
If it was just that on its own, it wasn't too bad. But it was followed that made that seem worse.
And I was like, what do you expect? The guy's full of adrenaline, and a part of me thinks that he wanted to at least win or get on the podium so that he could say a speech he probably had planned for Paul Baird. Maybe all that was running through his head.
It'd have been a team 1-2 as well, and I think he's probably annoyed that he messed that up.
Yes, and in the last lap, he's maybe annoyed at himself that he thought, I should have just settled for 1-2, still would have been leading the championship. Who knows? So to have a camera stuck in your face, I can understand why he was giving it the big, FO, because, like I say, adrenaline. We're not the ones putting our life in the line and racing around really fast.
Maybe I jinxed it when I did my Facebook Live on the grid. I pointed the camera at both of them and I was like, there we are. There's who we're expecting for the 1-2.
That's all your fault.
I did. It's probably my fault. Sorry, Tommy.
That's like whenever I jacked Michael Dunlop in the TT.
I know, yeah. You were like, oh yeah, if he doesn't win this year, we can go to the TT and watch him win next year. Oh.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, that was the first one. I was happy. Generally happy. I was happy he came fourth. I was happy that Glen Irwin won because, like I said, I want Glen Irwin to win. Before we went into this round, Ash, who did you want to win? Who do you want to win the championship anyway? I know you're all like, oh, Kyle Ryde, but it's not between. Kyle Ryde hasn't got a chance. It's between Glen Irwin and Tommy Bridewell. That's it. That's all their fucking showdown bullshit. It's pointless. Well, it's not pointless literally because there's points up for grab, but it's pointless because
well, there you go.
There's come on, it's between Glen
Kyle
Irwin.
Ryde goes really well at Donington.
Who?
Do you know what?
Kyle Ryde.
I want Tom.
Yes, but he needs them
Bridewell.
other two to finish like fourth or fifth.
Yeah, you could do with them taking each other out.
And they're half a
last
point
6
away,
races.
so at least one of them's going to finish in the podium, I'd imagine. Tommy Bridewell.
Yeah, I want Tommy Bridewell to win.
Ooh.
Your team Tommy.
Why not?
No, I'm not just saying team Tommy. Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And do you know why? Do you know why I want him to win? Because it was hilarious when he blanked Chippy when he tried to get an autograph off him. So that's why I want Tommy to win. It was funny.
I've already made it perfectly clear I want Glen Irwin to win. So,
Well,
Chippy.
before this weekend, I was team Bridewell.
Look how
and
nervous
Tommy
you are.
Tilley.
You're like it's like you're telling Tommy Bridewell himself. Tommy, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
Tommy!
No, before this weekend, I wanted Tommy Bridewell to win it. And for the whole season, I wanted him to win. But after this weekend, I want Glen Irwin to win. To be honest, I don't really mind who wins. I'm always... As long as it's not an Aussie, basically. I want a Brit to win, but I'd prefer Bridewell to win. But now, I want it to be Glen Irwin, just after this weekend.
Right. Let's go on to race 2.
Let's go into race 2 because... Yeah, go on.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say? Because what?
No, because you're going to explain what happened in race 2 and then I can discuss it.
Right, so... Well, I can't barely remember because I've not rewatched it. So, race 2.
Well, I watched it like 5 times.
Right, I've watched it. Well, I've watched that bit a few times. So, race 2. The take-off, it's very much like race 1. There's the leaders up front and there's the race for third. It's the same protagonist as it was previously in the race for third. It is a good race. It's an exciting race. It gets to about lap 13, 14. Is it Storm Stacey who fell off and brought out the safety car? Storm Stacey.
He fell off pretty much straight away. Did Storm Stacey?
What, straight away in the race?
No, that was in the first race, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, was that?
Because he brought out the safety car. So he crashed and brought out the safety car. I forget how... I think by this time the safety car came out, I think Tommy Bridewell might have slightly broken Glen Irwin a bit. I think it was at that point where, if I can remember correctly, I think it was at that point where it was like, I think Tommy Bridewell's got this. But then the safety car came out. And obviously the safety car comes out, it gives everybody a chance to catch up and become one big bundle again. Now, the problem that seemed to happen was Tommy Bridewell, as you all know, and anybody listening to this knows, Tommy Bridewell misjudged where he was or how far away the safety car was, or maybe he was trying to play tactics because there is that opportunity.
I think it was tactics.
I don't think it was.
There is an opportunity to slow down, back them up, and then just drop down a gear or whatever, just take off. And
Which is fine. It's a tactic. You can do that.
Yeah. I don't think it's tactic, though.
So Chippy, what you think was Tommy Bridewell went to go for it and then realised I've got a whole corner and a straight before I need to do this. I better slow down again, and he slowed down too much.
I think he did it, so he's going to set off. Then thought if I slow everybody down now, it's going to throw everybody off what they think I'm going to do, and then I can go and make a break.
Oh, right.
But I think he misjudged it too much, and obviously caused all the chaos behind him. And yeah, Vickers came flying through. Everyone was waving their arms. I think
I
think
it was a bit of human error myself.
Have you seen the onboard? If you look at the onboard,
No.
the way he accelerates and the way he brakes, it's quite. You see the front go down quite a bit. And like you see it sort of happen twice as well.
And you don't think it was maybe just a bit of human error?
No, I think human error in the way he got it slightly wrong with backing him up. But I think he intended to do that. He intended to accelerate to get him to think he was going and then slam on and then go.
He said on, and I don't know whether I should believe it or not, but it does sound like it could be a feasible thing. He said in his little video that he made, apologising for his antics this weekend, that corner is on a camber, and he did say he felt his front end slip slightly. So if he felt that, he could have put the brakes on again, and that's hence why he'd slowed down twice.
I don't buy that. And surely if you feel the front going, you lay off the brake. You don't brake more. That's going to make it more unstable, surely.
Sometimes you just freaking panic.
I don't know. I don't buy that.
I don't think he deserved the penalty anyway.
I do.
You don't think he deserved the penalty? It was carnage behind him. It was absolute carnage.
It was, but then why weren't them people sticking, concentrating on what they were doing?
They were concentrating on what they were
doing. They thought he'd gone.
They can only go so slow. You ride a motorbike, you can only go so slow before you're going to fall off. If he goes, they're going to go with him. And if what Chippy's saying, if he thinks what he said, Tommy Bridewell's went and then stopped really quick to try and make everybody else slam their brakes on, and then he's going to go. But they don't hit it it's whenever you're in traffic in the M25, somebody stops, another guy stops, that first guy takes off, and there's now a queue of traffic about 20 cars behind you because of that one.
Why would you slam on twice? Why would he slam on twice then?
To try and play
I think
a tactic.
I think that might have been slightly the human error, where he slammed on a bit too much.
And
that's probably why the front end started going, because he was on the camber.
Look, I'm happy to put it down to human error. I don't ride the bikes. I don't ride at that speed. I'm not there.
Maybe I'm all right. Maybe the penalty shouldn't have been as harsh.
Why the penalty's the penalty? It's a 3-second penalty. That's the penalty.
Well, it was
a
ride through.
4.5 seconds in front of everybody else.
Well, it's like they said
before the
freaking
car came out.
If that safety car had come out in lap 4, then 3 seconds would have been nothing. He probably would have been in second because he would have got that far away. Him and Glenn Irwin would have got that far away. 3 seconds would have been nothing. It's just the fact that it happened on lap 14, lap 15. But you can't change the penalty because of what lap they're at in the race. The penalty's a penalty. Just answer the question because you've changed your mind now. Answer the question. Did he deserve the penalty?
No, I wouldn't change my mind.
You were like he didn't deserve the penalty, or maybe he did deserve.
Did he deserve?
No.
Did he deserve a penalty? Just a different one.
I don't think he deserved the penalty. I think it was human error, and because why would he have slammed on twice?
You think it's human error, but do you think Lopez, when he took out Sam Lowe's, do you think that was human error, or did they do it on purpose? You obviously didn't do it on purpose. It was human error.
Yeah.
Do you reckon a different penalty would have been better? Do you think maybe if it was like a grid penalty in the next race, start 3 places back or something?
Yeah, so maybe if that's what they were going to do. I think the 3-second penalty was just. I just think it was fucking harsh, man. It was so harsh considering that nobody actually came off the bikes.
Very nearly.
There was
no
damage happened. They all ended up starting off the race again, and it was inevitable they were going to do the 1-2 anyway.
At one stage, once that race restarted, it was all over the place. You had Lee Jackson, who was arguably in front, and he had to wait for people to come past. And then somebody come up inside the Glen Irwin, just because they had nowhere else to go, and he nearly came off, and he had to pick the bike up. And it was like one of them push bike races where they all had to find their place again before they can take off.
Yeah,
and
I've seen it.
At one stage, I thought they're going to hit a red flag this race and start it all over again just to find out who was in what position. But then they all took off and they were all waving their hands. And I seen somebody on social media who was trying to slag off Glen Irwin, saying that Glen Irwin was trying to get in front so he could dictate the pace of the restart. And I was like, at no stage was Glen Irwin ever in front of Tommy Bridewell. He's the one.
No,
he was the one rider who could, because he was right behind Tommy, he was the one rider who could react. But it was the rest of them, the further back, they didn't have time to react because, they're reacting to Glen Irwin. They're not reacting to Tommy Bridewell. So then they're going in, and then the next guy's reacting to Lee Jackson. He's not reacting to Glen Irwin and so forth. And then that's where all the fuck up happens.
Also, I do think as well, because the reason why the penalty stood was that last season, I can't remember if it's Taz McKenzie, I'm sure it was Taz McKenzie. He had an incident behind the safety car. He went too early and ended up...
I remember you saying something about this.
Yeah, he ended up overtaking the safety car before it had gone into the pits, and he got a penalty. But
they never went past the safety car.
No. But at the start of the season, Stuart Higgs made a point of saying to him, whoever the lead rider is behind the safety car, you control the pace, and it's got to be a safe pace. It's got to be controlled, and like they made a real point of making sure they knew how to ride behind the safety car.
Is there not also a law that you're not allowed to go past the safety car, but you're not also allowed to go too far behind the safety car? Once you if you go too far behind the safety car, is that not a rule?
Possibly, I can't remember.
I think you have to stay so many vehicles distance, and if you go further behind that, then that's
maybe.
Or maybe I'm reading the rules wrong, but yeah, the fact of the matter is as much as there can be, quote unquote tactics, it has to be safe.
Yeah.
And whether it's
I understand what you're saying.
And whether it's human error or not, whether it's human error, a mistake, or done on purpose, even if it is human error and a mistake, it still comes with a penalty because you're the one that made the mistake.
I don't think it deserves a penalty. I just don't.
No penalty at all.
No.
Well, you're entitled.
Nobody crashed. Nobody got.
Well, clearly Tommy Bridewell.
Past the safety car.
Clearly, Tommy Bridewell didn't agree. He didn't agree with the penalty either.
No, he didn't agree with the penalty.
He didn't.
It was his antics on the way back in. Jesus, because wasn't he like making signals to the fans as well? Is he not?
At one stage, and I'll tell the listeners what I'm doing. At one stage, it looked like he was celebrating. He was like, he had his right hand off, waving at the fans. He had his left hand off, waving at the fans. And the commentators were like saying, "Oh, he thinks he's won the race. He doesn't know. I don't want to be the one that has to tell him. I'm going to have to interview him." And then he almost like not stood up, but he was both hands off. And the first time I thought he was cheering, but the second time I watched it. So basically what he's doing is, it looks like he's milking two cows simultaneously. Just imagine, put your listeners, put your two hands above your head like you're cheering, you've just scored a goal, and imagine that you're milking two cows with very big udders. You're milking two
Please,
cows.
Listeners, don't do this because you'll get arrested if you're in public.
If you're in Costa Coffee listening to it, or if you're out walking your dog, put one hand up. And if you're out walking your cat, put the other hand up and just pretend you're milking off two huge cows. That's kind of what he did. And then he went by race control and flipped him the bird. Not good.
No, it wasn't good. I'll tell you, it's a good job for his team as well. As soon as he rode into the garage, they pulled the...
they closed the door, didn't they?
Of course they're going to, because they learned from the first race.
Yes.
Because the first race, which, again, I give him a bye ball for that one. And then whenever he can...
But he's angry. He's angry.
Yeah, he's angry.
I get being angry.
He shouldn't be doing
He
it.
should be angry at himself.
Yes, he shouldn't be doing
I know
it.
he's angry.
Yes, I know.
And this is such a...
No, he shouldn't be angry at himself because it wasn't a penalty, but there you go.
No, he's angry, and he can be angry at himself or he can be angry at whatever. And I know that's such a cliche thing to say, and I know some people maybe think it's shouldn't be saying it, it's a load of bollocks, but there are a lot of people watching them. There's a lot of young people watching them, and that's not the sort of thing they want to see. It's not like you take a parent.
I agree.
A parent takes their son or daughter to a motorbike race, and we like to think that motorbike races were above that. We're not hooligans. We can go and we can we can smash a can, smash sticks, and that's drinking beer and smoking cigarettes and have a good fun. And whenever you see that, me personally, I would laugh it off. I didn't care if he flips birds and milks cows. I didn't care.
It is funny.
I get what you're saying. But I do understand.
But there's no need for it, really. There's no need for that. No. And then to come out and be like, if he'd have took it magnanimously, and come out and said, "Yes, I got the penalty. I don't agree with it. I got the penalty, but I proved I could win the race." That's all I had to do.
Do you think?
He made it weird.
Do you think that if this hadn't been Paul Bird's sort of memorial sort of weekend, do you still think he would have reacted the same?
I think he would, and it's a shame it was this weekend it happened because it really did take the shine off Paul Bird's.
Weeks ago, you always told me everybody loves Tommy Bridewell. How can you not like Tommy Bridewell? because I never really.
Well, now you've got a reason.
It's not that I didn't like him. I just never warmed to him. And he was racing against Glen Irwin, who I want to win. I just never really warmed to him. Right? There was just something about him, and it's not. I don't want them to take it personally. You just don't gel with everybody, especially when you've got a reason to like somebody else he's racing against. But then that thing he said a few weeks ago, he's like, "Oh, I think I'd like to." I'm not going to do a Tommy Bridewell accent. I can't do one. But he's like, "Oh, I think I'd like to prove that if I can't ride around you, I'm going to ride through you." Remember he said that?
Yeah, I remember he said that.
It's all right in saying that when you win, but not when you're coming second or third, because then that just proves that you're talking bollocks. You know, he's obviously got a habit of opening his mouth. He's like Jack Dixon. He needs a shit filter to come down there. He needs to whisper words into shit filter's ear, and then the shit filter say, "Tommy Bridewell's unhappy." That's what he needs.
Thing is, he wasn't like this last year, and he's not been like this ever. But I think now he's moved from the Oxford Products Ducati, or whatever they're called, to the PBM Ducati, and he's got this pressure now he's expected to win. I think he's struggling to handle the pressure. And I think this is how it's like manifesting itself.
Well,
talking.
He's probably got a contract, but if he keeps this up, they're probably going to be very reluctant to want to keep him on, regardless if he wins the championship or not, because he's turning into a PR nightmare. That.
Yeah.
I think his emotions was just a little bit heightened because of the whole pressure of it being the whole week.
I don't know.
Possibly, but Glen Irwin had the same pressure.
And I know you can say,
but not everybody's the same.
I know you can say Glen Irwin won the races, or Stuart Hicks. I'm doing inverted commas, question marks here, listeners. Stuart Hicks fixed the race to make sure Glen Irwin will win, and you can always say. History, the victors always get to write history, so that's why Glen Irwin wasn't angry, because he was winning the races and getting ahead of the championship. But from the beginning of the weekend, the whole way through the weekend, I thought Glen Irwin handled himself very, very well.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And I think Stuart Higgs as well. He gets a lot of criticism, but I think he's really good at what he does. Because I remember.
I think.
Go on. No, you go.
I was just going to say, loads of people on social media basically saying, "Oh yeah, he made the decision." Well, it's not just him that makes the decision.
No, there's a lot in that team.
There's a panel of people that make the decision as a collective.
Because I tweeted him.
I
tweeted him last year because I thought Peter Hitman, or it might have even been the year before, I thought Peter Hitman should have got a penalty for something, but he didn't get one. And I was like, well, it's only because he's in FHO racing. You don't want to upset your missus and give him a penalty. And I doubt it was because of my tweet, but he came out and said that he's getting criticism because of not giving the penalty. And he says whenever there's FHO racing involved, he removes himself and the panel decides. And I thought, actually that's quite fair. Like, he is very good at what he does.
And then did you say sorry?
I didn't say sorry. No.
You say he removes himself. Sorry. Is it a bit like that meme? Hitler's pen. It was a bit like that, where it's like, oh, we better not give him the penalty, or Steve Higgs will be cross. You've seen Hitler's pen. Yes. Brilliant. What? If anybody listening has not seen Hitler's pen, go onto YouTube and watch Hitler's pen. It's brilliant. So many videos in it.
Hitler's pen.
Yes. And I think that was probably the biggest emotional outburst of the weekend.
There was the interviews as well.
But the really weird interview came after race 3 at the end of the meet.
But I thought this is my only criticism of Glen Irwin. I didn't really understand what that comment was about Tommy Bridewell's family. I know he cleared it up in race 3, but I still didn't really understand what the.
So after race 1, this is what I think. Looking back,
was it race 1?
I've not rewatched it. I think it was race 1, yeah, because the comments about it after race 2. I think after race 1. Or maybe it was race 2. Maybe it was... Or maybe he tweeted something, I don't know. But at some stage, once Tommy Bridewell told the cameras to fuck off or whatever, I think Glen Irwin maybe made a passing joke about his upbringing.
Yeah.
There's one I heard it whenever I was at school. The school teacher used to always say it to us because we just were blind at school because we hated school and we hated our teachers. But she used to always say, every time you open your mouth, you open the door to your house. That's what our school teacher used to say.
Mm.
And I was like, well, if I opened my door, my dad would tell you to fuck off. So But so I think Glenn maybe said something along them lines. He maybe basically said like,
Yeah.
you know, and then his mum was there obviously, so I think Tommy Bridewell maybe took that personally. Now, Tommy Bridewell and Glenn Irwin, after race 2, penalty aside, they shook hands on the bike. They went past each other on the bike and they fist pumped or shook hands or high-fived. I think personally there's maybe a bit of needle between them two, but I think really deep down personally, I think they're still, you know, amicable with each other. I think they can still be professional. So I don't think I think Glenn maybe said something. I don't think he was sticking a knife. I think he maybe just said something in passing. But the impression I got that it was all the little, you know, Tommy fanboys like Ash there. I don't think you should have got a penalty. All the little Tommy fanboys.
Hold on, hang on.
All the little Tommy.
I'm not a fucking Tommy fanboy.
All the little Tommy fanboys were going and tweeting. You know, I think that's what happened. So Tommy.
I'm not a Tommy fanboy. I just don't think he should have got a penalty.
Yeah.
So fuck off.
So I think it might have been. I think people on Twitter, on social media, or X, or Facebook, whatever. I think people on social media has maybe started slagging Glenn off, and then Glenn fans have seen that, so they started slagging Tommy off, and then it all just got out of hand.
Yes.
And then race 3 happened. Race 3 was a decent race. Well, that was a good race as well. And by this stage, you knew there was a bit of needle. There was tension. I was tweeting out it on our Big Bad Bike Show X page. And I basically said it's not the fireworks we were expecting leading up to the race, considering the attention. Still was a bloody good race, though.
It was a good race.
Them two are on fire this year. It's so good. I know they're on the best bike in the grid. They're on the best bike in the grid. They're on Ducati, which is just, in racing terms, the best manufacturer in the world. They're proving it in every championship. Every championship, they're proving it. They've built an amazing bike, and they've won everything. Well, elect. Championship elect. They've won everything. So they're on the best bike, but God, them two can ride it. Brilliant. Like, take away all the antics this weekend, the racing was incredible. Between them two especially. Absolutely fantastic.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but race 3
there was that comment that Tommy Bridewell made about there being a divide in the team. But I don't know if that was heat of the moment thing again.
Well, he said it a couple of times. Because
like you say, I think
you keep
I
saying
like to think they can still get on.
Yeah, you keep saying heat of the moment, but this is another thing that was kind of annoying me. Glenn Irwin, I know Glenn Irwin won the race or didn't get a penalty or blah blah blah, and he left Oulton Park leading the championship by half a point. But whenever they interviewed him, he was just all about, had a great weekend, team's doing fantastic, they put in a lot of hard work, they give me a good bike, I can win the race, we're doing really well, doing this for the big man up there, I hope he's smiling down on me. He was saying all the right things. Tommy Bridewell just had to say that as well. He could have come in and said, it's not the weekend we want it, but I hope he's smiling down. He would probably have words to say to me, blah, blah, blah. But he walked up and he was like, I don't care. He says, I won that race. That's my race. I got two race wins. and it was just being weird. And he's like, there's definitely a divide in the team. And it's like, you don't have to. If there is a divide in the team, this is not the weekend to be saying it.
No,
it's not.
Do you know what I thought?
Do you know what I thought?
I thought it's like some old boy has died and you're going to the family wake and his sons and daughters are arguing in front of you as to who's going to get what in the will. And it's like, you don't clean your dirty laundry in public. And that's kind of the cringy feeling I got. I was like, you don't need to be saying that now. This is definitely not the weekend to be saying that. Wait a week.
There was a lot of cringy interviews, wasn't there?
But you're saying the heat of the moment, but there's like, they have interviews right there and then contractually they have other interviews. So they'll have another interview for another company and blah blah blah. And I seen an interview later on where they're all sitting down in like a building, and like this interview was obviously happening maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes after the fact, and his interview was exactly the same. Like he didn't have time. Like he had time to think, oh, well, perhaps I shouldn't say that. Perhaps I should apologise for that. But he said the exact same thing. He was like, there's a divide in the team, or they're making a divide in the team or whatever. And they were really cringy interviews. They were really cringe. They were. I was like, oh mate, it was just watching somebody have a meltdown in front of you.
Yeah, it really wasn't good.
Yeah, and then he like fair play. He made an apology video. Fair play.
That was a good video.
And I think that video he put his heart in his sleeve, even though he's wearing t-shirts. But anyway, you know what I mean. Put his heart in his sleeve. He came out with it. He told us he likes to fuck sheep. He was in there. He told it all, and that's a joke, by the way. I'm sure Tommy can take it.
Here we go.
He talks to sheep.
He talks to sheep. That's it. Milks cows, talks to sheep. But the thing that rubs me up the wrong way with that is how many times, I'm not saying he's done it before, he's got history, but how many times is that going to happen? Because there's somebody else now, if it's Tommy again, or somebody else has a meltdown and they start, flipping birds and throwing signs and undermining the officials, or they just think, oh well, I'll do that and just make a
I don't think it'll be a regular thing.
I'm pretty sure he's getting. There's rumours that he's going to be. I don't know if penalised or fined or something for his.
Something has to happen.
What they call
they
it.
can't
Yeah,
they can't just be like, oh well, he's made an apology video, so therefore it's water under the bridge. Yes, it's water under the bridge in the sense that we all forgive you. Like, I didn't care. I'd still sit down and have a pint with the man and probably have a bit of banter and a good laugh. I say he's rubbed me up the wrong way, but that's because he's like I said before, he's racing against Glenn Irwin, who I like. But no, he's never going to sit down and have a pint with me anyway. That's completely out of the window. But you know what I mean. But yeah, I still think he deserves, and even though I probably not agree with that, but I still think he deserves like some sort of penalty after that, because I think his actions.
I agree with you, but for his freaking actions with like obviously swearing and stuff like that, he definitely deserves something to come his way. Because like you say, otherwise riders will think it's acceptable to do it, and then just bring a freaking apology video out. No, it's okay.
I think
now.
just the idea just completely undermining the officials and the guys that are running the show, and
I think he'll get. They'll want to make a. What do they call it? Like an example.
Yeah,
but the thing is, I don't want them to. I don't want them to put him like 3 or 4 places back in the grid. I don't like the idea of that.
I don't think they will. I think they'll put points on his license, because you get like your rider's license, don't you? You get so many points before you then get a penalty.
Because I was thinking, I don't want it to. I don't want his penalty or his fine or his slap in the wrist or whatever to get in the way of the racing. I don't want that to be what determines the championship. Even though if Glenn Irwin wins and he wins it by like a point, everybody will point back to that safety car. That won or lost the championship.
Yeah.
Wah wah wah. Yeah. But all in all,
it was quite nice to be part of the whole Paul Bird Memorial thing. I was on the I was stood on the grid.
This whole weekend, Ash, you were backstage, you got to be part of the grid, you got to speak to a lot of the riders. You were there when it was all kicking off, you were in amongst it. How did it feel? What did it feel like? Could you feel the tension in the air?
Not really, because I wasn't obviously in their pits or anything. Imagine if I'd been obviously with Ducati, then I probably would have done. But no, it was nice to sort of be there and listen to all the things they're saying about Paul Bird and stuff, and seeing the bikes as well. Yeah, in the flesh. I really like the Be Wiser Ducati.
That was a great bike. I love that sponsor.
Yeah, I used to work for really Be Wiser. Nice. Yeah. Yes.
It's quite cool, like the Ducati with like the little owl eyes on the front.
Yeah, I used to sell insurance for Be Wiser, and I was good at it too.
But yeah, it did make.
Let's just accept the fucking insurance, because this guy's doing my fucking head in. He's been talking for the past 50 minutes. Yeah, we'll have the insurance.
It did make me laugh, like when you're on the grid for the memorial thing, and I was just thinking, he's probably the only person on that grid like 2 weeks ago didn't even know who Paul Bird was.
Yes,
I know who it was. I knew who it was. I just didn't know.
We kept getting messages. I didn't know Paul Bird had did this. I didn't know Paul Baird was responsible for
I
this.
I didn't.
To be fair, I didn't know half the stuff he'd done. I didn't know about Joey Dunlop giving him his bike.
No, I didn't. And that's one of my favourite
What
bikes.
bike did he give
It is
him?
my favourite
What
bike.
bike did he give him?
The Vimto SP1, the VTR. That's what Joey did his last TT on and won.
Last senior TT.
Yep. So yeah, it was good. And if you see just in the bottom right hand corner, you can just see a fat guy with a Honda hoodie and a big bad bike show cap, and that's
No,
me.
I took a picture of it and I sent it in a group chat because I circled you because I found you.
Yes.
Wasn't
me.
quite as hard as Where's Wally. You were a bit easier to find.
Yeah, I was the only one on the grid wearing a hoodie and not a team shirt.
But
I was saving my team
to be
shirt
honest,
for
the
race
picture
day.
the picture was quite pixelated, so when you zoomed in, it's hard to see.
It was, yeah. Yeah.
Well, that was the actual British Superbikes. Do you want to go on and tell us a bit more, Ash?
Well, I do want to say a big well done to Charlie Nesbitt, 'cause he is now the top Honda in BSB. Which I think is pretty cool, considering he's on a satellite Honda and he's smashing
Privateer,
back.
not satellite.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yes.
But did the rest of the Hondas not just crash this weekend?
They did. Pretty much. Obviously, Danny Kent's not around at the moment, is he? His bike's not on the grid.
Was it? I can't mind. I can't mind if it was
team's
1,
gone
2, or
bust.
3. But it was one of the races where one of the Hondas crashed. I was like, "Oh, Honda's out," and then literally the next lap, the other one was out, and I was like, "Oh, they
Yeah.
might as well just pack up and go home." Having a terrible
To
weekend.
be fair, they haven't got the riders at the minute, have they? They got the bike, they haven't got the riders.
Yeah, well, they will do soon.
Well, we're going to get on to silly season.
Uh,
Don't ruin
No,
silly
I
season
thought
because
it
we
was,
haven't got much.
really good. He did really well, and and obviously Michael Dunlop didn't do as well, not too well. But like he was saying to me, because I got to speak to Michael, he just said to me, "Well, as you know, I'm a road racer, and to race on circuits, you have to completely change how you race." And he was just struggling to do that. He was very open and honest, which was pretty cool.
yeah, I wasn't expecting him to do much this weekend, and it's not to have a dig at him. Like you said, just
No,
he didn't.
no.
It's like I said before, because we were talking privately. I said before, if Michael Dunlop was to forget about road racing and concentrate solely on circuits, I think he could be decent. I think he.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if he could win the British Superbikes, but I think he could be a regular at the top. But
Yeah.
that means concentrating completely on just circuits. But anyway,
that's not going to happen.
moving on from British Superbikes, did you catch any of the other races? Ash, did you see any other races?
I watched I watched the Supersport races, and I was very gutted for Rhys Irwin
Yeah.
in I think it was the
it
first
was the
race he got
first
wiped
race.
out. Was it Richard Cooper
yeah.
that wiped him out?
Yeah, Richard Cooper.
Yeah,
Which
he wiped him out, so I was gutted for him there. And then in the second race, his bloody exhaust bracket came loose.
was probably a result of the first race coming off.
And well, we were watching it on the screen, and I was speaking to Steve about it, and he was saying, I don't know how he hasn't been black flagged yet, and he did a couple more laps, and it just got looser and looser. Did that exhaust pipe, and unfortunately, he had to come off. So he was absolutely raging. And Chippy's favourite, Tom Bufamos, he ended up winning the second. Did he win both of them? I didn't catch who actually won the first.
Who won that? Did Curry win the first
Tom
one?
Bufamos. He won the one with that when Rhys Irwin's exhaust came loose in the second race.
Yeah, Tom Bufamos won that one. I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah.
I would need to go in and check the results, but just let me check Twitter quickly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was gutted for Rhys Irwin whenever Richard Cooper took him off, and Richard Cooper's got every right to be there. I know he does, but it kind of annoys me a little bit whenever riders who aren't exactly in the championship are there. You know what I mean? I know they've got sponsors and stuff, but Richard Cooper's never going to win that championship. He's only there because the F900s aren't racing that weekend. So he's just there racing.
Yeah, that's true.
And then he goes and takes out a rider who is arguably a title contender. And it's like, well, if you want to ride in that championship and forget about the F900s, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's kind of like whenever Danny Pedrosa was doing... whenever Danny Pedrosa was riding wildcard for KTM, but he didn't want to pass... Well, I feel that he didn't want to pass Bagnaia. It's because he knows he's a wild card and he's not in the championship, so he's like, so I'm not gonna disrupt him. If the opportunity comes, if he goes straight on, maybe I'll pass him. So I think Richard Cooper had no right to be even trying to pass Rhys Irwin in a way. I think he should have been like, well, there's what's the, like, you know what I mean? Do you understand what I mean? Not that he didn't have any right to whatsoever, but no, the opportunity should have really been there before he tried to pass him. Ladies and gentlemen, we are having a few technical issues tonight. So it appears that well, actually, you know what, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to go into detail because we're just having technical issues. Internet's just not playing. Things just aren't working the way we'd like them to. And what is happening is that we are realising that we cannot continue with the show the way we were planning to. Thankfully, we were about an hour and a half in before any real problems started. So we had the meat and the bones of the show. We got the most of it we wanted. We had a few other things planned. We were going to talk silly season, which we do every week. And we had a few questions at the end of the show, which we're going to talk about. But we are going to keep silly season for next week. And you probably know most of the rumours anyway. And we're not going to tell you anything that's not already been speculated that we can't talk about next week. And the questions, well, we're just going to keep that for the following week as well. Basically, we want
we'll keep it for next week.
Yeah, we want to get the show wrapped up now. Before any more technical issues happen. Unfortunately, this is just the position that we're in. So, where we're at now is to... Oh yeah, I should also say we've lost Chippy, so the technical issues has also involved us not...
We've got no Chippy.
We've got no Chippy, which is no bad thing, I suppose, at the end of the day. Right, so, we're just going to go into our predictions. We'll get that out of the way. So, the MotoGP predictions... for the MotoGP sprint race, I have gone for Bez. Who have you gone for, Ash?
Yep. I've gone for Martin.
And Chippy has
gone for Bagnaia.
For the MotoGP race, I have gone for my ye old favourite. I think this is the week he's going to do it, and I've gone for Zarco. Chippy has gone for Bagnaia again, keeping it safe. And Ash, who have you gone for?
I've gone for Bez this time.
Right, so we'll both get Bez down for race 1. Moto 2, Chippy has gone for Aaron Canet. Ash, who have you gone for?
I have gone for Jake Dixon.
Hoping for a return to form, and I am also hoping for a rider to return to form, and I have gone for Tony Arbolino. None
of us have gone for Pedro Acosta.
No, because it's at India and it's a new track, and I think Pedro Costa will go into that thinking damage limitation. I just don't want to do anything stupid. And he's not as good in the flyaway rounds either. Which is why I've gone for Arbolino, because Mark VDS are hoping that he'll pick up in the flyaway rounds. For Moto 3, I've gone for Onchu.
Good shout. I've gone for Sasaki, going back to my roots of choosing Sasaki. And Chippy has gone for David Alonso.
Yes. Hoping that I also hope the Alonso train keeps going, but we'll see.
I do, yeah.
Now, let's just say for the World Superbikes, we've all basically race 1, race 2, race 3. The 3 names that have been mentioned are Toprak, Batista, and Ray. So I don't think we have to go into great detail any more about that. World Superbikes
not really.
It is coming to a conclusion, and hopefully it is going to tighten at the top with Toprak bringing in a resurgence. But there is really only a couple of riders who we feel is going to win a race. Like I say, I'm hurrying this on because I'm just worried that technical issues causes more problems and you just end up
gonna cause small problems.
Yes. So that takes us to the end of the show basically. Unfortunately it's had to end rather abruptly. We do apologise. We are a very grassroots podcast where we don't have studios, we don't have fancy equipment. We've basically just got laptops, very, very rudimentary microphones and internet, which in this case tonight has let a few of us down.
Yes.
And it's no fault of anybody. It's absolutely nobody else's fault apart from the fact that the internet had just decided to shit itself in a particular area. Right, so that leaves us to plug our socials.
BT.
Ash, do you want to give the socials?
I can give the socials. So if you want to get in contact with us, and please do, because we really want people to get in contact with us. It's been a bit quiet over the past few weeks. Is you can email us podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. It can be about anything. It doesn't even have to be about bikes. Just email us, please. We're on YouTube, The Big Bad Bike Show. We're on Twitter, or X as it's called now, @The Big Bad BS. We are on Instagram, The Big Bad Bike Show, with hyphens in between each word. And we are on Facebook, The Big Bad Bike Show. But the best one to go to is our Facebook group, which is The Big Bad BS. That's where we get most of our interaction with you guys, and it seems to be the most popular. If you want to get in contact with us directly, you can contact Sam on X @The Big Bad Biker. I am on Instagram, that's Ash, the Up North Biker. And Chippy is also on X @MotoChippy.
Yes, so we do get a lot of traffic and stuff on our Facebook page, The Big Bad BS, and recently I've been taking more of an effort to pump out a lot more content, I'd say, on our X, especially with memes. We've been trying to make memes. Go on our X page, Twitter page, and follow us and see our memes. We will have more. Yeah, just reiterate what I said. Get involved. Send us an email. If you're listening to it, if you do listen to us at all and you like what we do, just send us an email. Don't care what it's about. Tell us about your favourite bike ride, motorbike ride. Tell us about your worst experience you've ever had on a bike, favourite bike you've ever rid, nightmare rides, happy rides, your neighbour's riding. Just indulge us with a story, or just ask us a question, or answer one of the previous questions from a previous podcast, anything at all. Just basically get in touch, because what we want to do is create a community. We don't just want to talk nonsense. We do literally want to create a community. So,
no.
And on top of the socials, we may be pushing out our Discord this week as well. So look out for that. I'll probably push the link out with the rest of our stuff. So there's not really much else to say but our goodbyes. So Chris Moto Chippy, oh that's right, he's not here. Up North Biker.
Can I try and pretend to be Can I try and pretend to be
Right,
Chippy?
you pretend to be right. Chris Moto Chippy,
Okay.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Up North Biker Ash Hall.
I see you
And
later.
I've been the Big Bad Biker. This has been the Big Bad Bike Show. This was such a good show. We were having such a good time before the technical issues came. But you got to take the rough with the smooth. Hope you've enjoyed it, folks. Goodbye.